Welcome to the Group Home Riches Podcast. If you have the desire to be your own boss, create your own schedule, and become financially free while at the same time helping people in need, then you've come to the right place. At GroupHomeRiches.com, we teach people exactly like yourself how to get started in the group home business. And on this podcast, you're going to hear their stories firsthand. So for folks that are listening, we interviewed Tasha a couple months ago. She came out, she was the April Fool's edition. So if you see the one that says that this was a scam all along, it's not a scam. But Tasha was like the walking proof of it. Andy, how long did it take for you, like from the moment you like thought about group homes to when you had like your first tenant in place? How long did it take you?
Too long, way too long. I mean, that was the problem. I remember I was working still in corporate America, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'd read all these articles in the newspaper about how there were these people that were in hospitals and they needed a place to live. And I'm like, man, I'm going to do this. And of course, I thought about it. The longer you think about it, the more money you wind up losing. So to answer your question, sorry to be so long-winded about it, but I would say, and it was probably at least a couple of years.
And you were like looking for consultants, got burned from a couple of them.
Yeah, I remember paying this one. I mean, I paid a number of people like $500 here, $1,000. They wouldn't give me any information, right? And these were people that were in the industry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They didn't want any competition, and I understand that looking back on it now. But I did get scammed. But that was, sometimes that's part of the process, unfortunately.
So Tasha, she hopped on her computer and looked up how to start a group home. Got her first tenants in there. I think we recorded our podcast like 3 or 4 weeks from the moment she searched on Google.
Yeah.
So I think she's like the record holder for the person who like searched, took action, and got things going. So
that is exactly what you have to do. That is fantastic.
Congrats again, and welcome back to the podcast, Tasha.
Thank you.
So we were talking about just kind of like real estate stuff, which is kind of all of our language. And we kind of touched on it on the last podcast, but Tasha, for the people that didn't catch that first one, why don't you give us a background on what you were doing before you came to us, and then, what brought you to even look up how to start a group home?
So I am a retired registered nurse and a retired hairstylist. So in 2018, I became a real estate investor. I got in the game by being a private money lender, just lending money out of my self-directed IRA. The reason why I chose that route was because, number one, I thought I didn't have enough money to get into real estate. And then number two, I felt like if I could lend money out to other investors, then they would allow me, or I'd be privy to information, and they could, so they walked me, on their properties and projects and things like that. So I kind of paid for my learning, and then they paid me back with interest for teaching me.
I love that. Is awesome.
Yeah, that's how I got into real estate in 2018. And then I just started wholesaling, and then, wholesale a couple, then I'd buy one, and then I'd wholesale a few more, and then I said, okay, let me buy another one. So, that kind of thing, wholesaling is good for that quick cash or whatever, but I was looking more towards ownership and long-term money. So I decided to use the buy and hold method. So I started holding properties, and I had one property that I bought, and the tenant was cash flowing when I purchased it, but the tenant was always late. I mean, like always late. And I made up in my mind, I was like, when her lease is up, I got to do something different. I cannot be having this tenant and, having one tenant in this property. So I looked up how to start a group home, and then Group Home Riches was the only thing that popped up. So I purchased the course, and I went through that course. I mean, to the letter, I went through that course, and I did exactly what it said. The course, I'm telling you, everybody always says, so what do you do? And asking all these questions. It's a blueprint. Follow the blueprint. It's a map. It's a map. If you want to get from A to Z, and that map tells you how to get there, follow the map. So that's what I did. And within maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I was up and running, had my first 2 clients in my group home.
Beautiful. So, yeah. And How much were you cash flowing when that tenant was paying you on time? Which you never. But
when the tenant was paying me on time, the mortgage at the time was like $500, I believe, a month, and she was paying $850.
Mm-hmm.
But after mortgage and taxes and insurance, there's a lot of other costs associated with having a property. I might have been cash flowing maybe $200 a month from that one property.
Yeah. And that's pretty common. I try to tell, we get a lot of people that come to us and have kind of either, they've looked into real estate, buying and holding, investing, or they just kind of have an idea of what landlords are doing. They don't really know a lot about it. Most people don't know that that's what a lot of investors consider a good deal. Like when they're analyzing a property to buy, they're looking to make $200 or $300 per month cash flow. That's considered good. Like if you go on Bigger Pockets and look up success stories, they write their long spiel and break down the numbers, and then you're like, wait, you make $200 a month? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you get all these tax breaks and things like that, depreciation and all that, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, cash is king,
Yeah.
You gotta have, the house had a ton of equity in it. I mean, that's why I bought it, obviously, but equity doesn't pay bills. You have to have cash. So,
I love how you say that. Equity does not pay bills. That's like what I always say. I can't go out to eat on my equity.
Yeah.
I can't fly around and go to Hawaii on my equity. I need cash.
I need cash. Yeah. So, I mean, I learned that very, very quickly, being a landlord. That was not what I wanted to do.
Sounds like you're a fast learner, because that took me about 10 years to realize.
Yeah, no, that's not a good business model for me.
It's great for those, like the beginners. I know you're pretty active in that private Facebook group, but we do get a ton of people, how do I start? Or the biggest thing is finding a home, right? Like luckily you had that rental property.
Right.
So people that are, they don't have a lot of money to either purchase a home or anything like that. If you just understand these concepts, people that have those rental properties that, again, on a good month, they're making $200 or $300, but most of the time they're losing money, because how often do things go perfectly well as planned, right? So,
yeah,
landlords are the perfect people to partner with if you're looking to start with little to no money. But we kind of beat that over the head on that first podcast and many other episodes. So that's kind of how you started. That was your background. What I think is really cool is you were a nurse for a while, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm still a nurse. I say I retired.
Oh, okay.
Once a nurse, always a nurse. I just don't work in that capacity. Yeah, I don't take care of patients, but I've been a nurse for 26 years. Yeah.
So it's a way to you obviously have that personality of wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And then this is a way to kind of fuel that passion. But at the same time, I mean, depends on your goals, but you could build that equity. And as Andy mentioned, you can have a cash cow running out of those properties too. So it's a really cool vehicle to get towards financial freedom, which most people out there, even if they don't want to admit it, they are, most people want to be financially free.
Absolutely.
So, you were kind of just starting out when we first interviewed you. We kind of covered those first steps, but let's touch on those, because you said, the gold course mentioned like the map from A to Z. What was once you kind of wrapped your head around the business model, what were those first couple things you did to get those tenants in the property?
So what I did was I started a contact list. And I just opened up a spreadsheet, like the course said, opened up a spreadsheet, and I started Googling nonprofits, homeless, those keywords. And I created a contact list, and I did the email thing. The email thing wasn't as effective as talking to them on the phone. So I would email everybody, and then I would follow up with a phone call. And that follow-up, the money's in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up.
I love everything that I'm hearing right now. It's like you need to be writing these gold courses. I mean, because everything you're saying, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but everything you're saying is so spot on. The money is in the follow-up. I mean, I'm just loving it. So sorry to interrupt, but this is it's so great to hear You talk.
Oh, no problem. But yeah, so I did that. I mean, people make things very, very complicated and convoluted. And I'm like, when I get people who ask, well, how do you do this? Well, how do you listen? It's all there. It's all there. The scripts are there. How to find a property is there. How to make a deal with the landlord is there. If the landlord says no, they even have other options you can present to the landlord. Just follow it. Quit trying to reinvent the wheel. It's there, and it works. You got to work it.
Thank you for saying it. This is like mine and Andy's struggle, is like, it's just kind of really convincing people that it is this simple. Like, we're not,
I mean, like, it really is.
Yeah, it's not like it's a get rich quick scheme or anything like that. It's not like, I think a lot of people like just think there's some secret application that we're hiding. Like, there's got to be some secret program that
Well,
like,
what I think people think, Brandon? I think that they think that there's a secret sauce.
Yeah.
But there is no secret sauce. You plan your work and you work your plan, and that's it.
Yeah. And these really, I guess the secret sauce is like the contacts, building the contact list, like you mentioned, and then being able to confidently talk to them. I mean, I guess that's, if there was one secret sauce, that would be it, right? Because I mean, if you find a good contact, like a nonprofit that is working with a ton of clients that need this housing and they have a budget, that's the secret sauce. But again, it's not secret. We say it in there. So it just, I think a lot of people are kind of, maybe they're afraid to pick up the phone and start talking to people, which is why that, like, the educational stuff, that's key. I think you need to understand the business and be able to come across as somebody who's confident and professional. Maybe that's what holds a lot of people back. But
so, I mean, it's an opportunity, but a lot of people miss it. Like you said, Brandon, they're looking for the silver bullet or whatever it is, and they miss the opportunity because it is. I mean, it's dressed in overalls and it looks like work, as Mark Twain used to say. I mean, it's like, you gotta, like Tasha said, you gotta make your plan and you gotta work it. So,
absolutely.
On that first podcast, I think you were in the coaching program, so I think you had just gotten like that first, 25 contacts, made a couple phone calls, and then like you had your first couple clients, and you were already cash flowing more than your rental property was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, how many contacts do you have on your list now, and what are you doing for marketing now?
Oh God, it's crazy now. I really, honestly, I don't know how many contacts I have now, because I mean, there's one caveat to this whole thing. If you get in contact with the COC, continuum of care in your city, that one contact opens up the door for like hundreds of contacts. So that's pretty much the angle I use now. I just had a meeting 2 days ago. It was a 2.5-hour meeting with the COC, and I just opened up another group home, by the way, in Tampa, Florida. So I had a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and during that meeting, they're like, just put your name and your organization and your email in the chat box. So I did that, and I've been on the phone nonstop since then. Nonstop.
That is awesome.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of demand for this type of housing.
Just a wee bit.
So, yeah, we tell people, once you kind of get the ball rolling, it's not, if you're marketing correctly, like you did, and going through the right avenues, the challenge is getting enough properties to take on the demand.
Right.
So you have that first home, is that pretty much stabilized at this point?
Yes. That's a 7-bed. That's a 7-bed property, and it's stabilized. So now I just opened September the 1st, my second group home, which is an all girls group home, or young women's group home, 18 to 20, like 25, 26. Most of them are, the population is like aged out of foster care. So they do have like an extended foster care program, but that is not the model that I'm using, because I have an 8-bed property, and the extended foster care program, they like for those women who have aged out to be in a bedroom by themselves. So attending that meeting, because I attend a lot of those meetings, via Zoom now, obviously due to COVID, I learned that most of those girls leave. They leave that program because I feel like one big thing is they feel lonely and isolated. So I literally, while I was on the phone call with them, I literally wrote my program. Like I looked at the holes and I wrote my program.
Beautiful. And you got a good response from it.
Yep. So I've been getting a lot of referrals.
How many tenants do you have in that new home, or like, do you have contracts lined up already, or what does that look like?
So I have one girl that moved in she paid her money on the 1st and she moved in on the 2nd. And then I have another one supposed to move in this afternoon. But her, I'm not like doing cookie cutter group home, and you don't have to do a cookie. You can make it your own, So one girl, she's there, for probably a year or two. And then the one who's coming this afternoon, she's going to be there for a week because her apartment won't be ready until the week after. So I'm just doing like, temporary housing for her.
Cool. And yeah, you hit on something, you don't have to do it cookie cutter.
Right.
You can really, there's so much demand. There's so many different kind of segments of populations that need this type of housing. You can get creative with it, which is what it sounds like you're doing with the new property.
Right. And then, so I have another group home about a mile down the road that I'm going to open up probably September, October 1st, maybe.
Okay. So we're looking at possibly like 3 homes running within the first 6 months of being in business.
Yep. I love it. I do. I really love it.
Yeah. So you're helping people out who are in need of the community. So you're serving that purpose, and then you don't have to go into specifics. What does the income look like on just like those 3 properties? What are you looking to take in?
Oof. So the first property is $500 or $600 a bed, depending on the room. And then the second property is $700 per bed. And I have 8 beds in that property. And then the third one, I'm not sure how I'm going to structure that one yet. And the reason I'm not sure is because I own the first property. The second property, I lease it. And the landlord saw how fast I put that one together and the income potential. So he's pretty much forcing me to open the third one. Like, no, I have another property and you've got to do it. You've got to do it again. So, I mean, the landlords, they will knock your door down, knock your door down just to open their doors. And I get it. I own another property in Indiana, and I just can't get there to do what I need to do with it. So I was looking for somebody to open a group home, and that one I'm willing to, lease that one out to somebody. I don't have time to get to Indiana. It's a bit,
Brought up so much key topics with those last couple.
Yeah.
Those last couple topics. So just back to the income thing, you kind of mentioned like the revenue that was coming in. How about how many rental properties do you think you would need to equate to equal like the group home rent income that you have now?
I want to clarify that.
So to bring in the amount of income you're bringing in now with the group homes, how many rental properties?
Oh my God. I need an apartment building. Being honest, I need an apartment building. Maybe probably 25 to 50 unit apartment building,
Yeah, it'd be a full-time job. You'd need a management company, leasing agents, a full-time maintenance crew. And I just bring that up just to show the power of the business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, hands down, this is like one of the most lucrative and rewarding businesses that I've ever done, like ever.
Yeah, once you get the format, the foundation, the blueprint, and start making things roll, it's almost like, you can really kind of design the lifestyle that you want, and you're probably starting to see that. You're probably thinking of, how many homes do I want? How much income do I want? And it could be, it's not like a 30-year plan. We're talking, you might be able to get that done in the next year or two.
Absolutely.
So let's rewind back. So you're a real estate investor, you own your own homes, but you are leasing the second property. Why would a landlord want to work with a group home?
Because they know they're going to get their rent and they get more of that market rent, which is, it's a win-win for the landlord and the group home owner to lease. It's just a win-win.
Yeah. And for, again, folks listening out there, I just kind of asked Tasha that to make the point. And even on the last podcast we did with Andy, even Andy was looking at leasing a property, but we kind of already touched on what landlords go through, like, you know, people not paying on time, people moving, skipping rent or skipping out. And then on the good months, they're only making, you know, $200. So
Right.
Tasha has this cash flowing business run out of the property. She's not going to be, you know, are you handling like the miscellaneous maintenance calls?
No.
No? Okay. So you're even.
No.
But so how did you structure the deal with the landlord?
So with the landlord.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, it's his property, obviously. And I just told him, well, I asked him, I said, do you want me to, you know, take care of the maintenance, or do you want to take care of the maintenance? You know, I can, it doesn't matter. You know, I was just going to hire somebody to do it, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll take care of it. You know, if anything happens, you know, just let me know and I'll take care of it. And I was like, no problem. So,
so was he just looking to fill the vacant property, or is he getting a share of the revenue, or are you?
He was looking to fill the property, obviously. And then he said he'd always wanted to do a group home, but every time he would call the city, he said it was like going down a rabbit hole. He could just never get the right answers. And he, you know, when I just called, actually, you know, one of the nurses in my club that I have, I reached out to her and I said, do you know anybody in Tampa who owns properties? And she said, let me call around and I'll get back with you. So within an hour, she had him on the phone, and he said he had just hung up the phone with the city trying to get information, and they were giving him the runaround. So he said it was like a godsend, you know. So that's just how it worked out. And he's very interested in it, but he's just sitting back watching how I run things. So we have a real cool relationship. You know, we've only known each other maybe 3 weeks, and you know, we're already working on property number 2.
Very cool. So it's almost similar to what you did with real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something he's interested in, and he's looking to learn it, and he gets to watch it in his property. So that's very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very cool. So you're just paying, it's like a typical standard lease, but this landlord was interested in the business, wants to help out the community, you know, just like everybody else. They see the demand out there and they're wondering how they can help. And you might see the posts in our group, but we have landlords like that inquire all the time. Like they'll reach out to us from Finding Group Home Riches and say, hey, I have this property. Do you guys know anybody that would want to rent from me? So it's one of those big struggles people have. They think they have to buy the property, you know, they have to have 20% down, but you know, we have 2 seasoned vets that are leasing or looking to lease. Andy was. So it's possible. You can see it here.
Absolutely. And it's just, like I said, it's not cookie cutter. It's whatever fits. You know, a lot of people ask me, why are you leasing a property when you're an investor and you own properties? Because it's what it works. You know, it's what works right now for me. It fits my business model. So I'm good. I'm good with that.
And you have, say it again, so people we'll put your contact info like in the description, but you have a property in Indiana, you said, right?
I do. I have a 3-bedroom, 1-bath in Indiana. That would be a great group home, like a sober living or something like that. So I own that property, and just don't have time to get up there and get it going. So if anybody's interested, I'll be more than happy to work with you and get you going.
If you are a landlord, the idea is to find people that want to operate these group homes.
Yep.
And quite frankly, if you're the landlord and you're looking for the operator, you're going to have a little bit of leverage. If you're the operator looking for the landlord, you're going to have a little bit of leverage as far as like the profit splits and everything else. But I think it's unbelievable what you're doing and the way that you're approaching it, because you're looking at it like Amazon. I mean, Amazon doesn't own any of their real estate. They lease it. So it's the same.
Same thing. I'm telling you, it's amazing at how you can just take real estate in the group home model and just do anything. You know what I mean? Go anywhere with it, do anything, help communities all over the United States and build relationships. And, you know, this real estate is a relationship business. And I love it. I wished I would have known this existed when I started nursing 26 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of people, they find out the hard way that it's really nursing or really any kind of job like that, you know, you're going to be capped at some point. You know, there's not really a path to financial freedom. You know, your income was directly related to the hours that you work, and there's only so many hours you can do. Whereas the group home business, you know, once you build it and kind of get things in place to be stable, it's not like that. So I always try to make it a point. It's just, Andy, how much, so we're in the beginning of September. How much time do you think you put into your group homes for October?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't really remember about October, but as far as yesterday, I probably spent about an hour looking over all the numbers and just kind of diving into them and cutting myself, you know, my distribution checks. So that's basically last month's. I would say I probably spent, you know, like maybe an hour, you know, at most. I didn't drive to any of the group homes, didn't do any, I don't take any phone calls. I don't do anything. All I do at the end of the month, log in, make sure that the bookkeepers have gotten all of the information entered correctly, make sure that the credit cards are reconciled, bank accounts and statements are reconciled, and look at the top line number, look at the bottom line number, double check everything, and then just transfer money from my Chase account to my B of A account. That's the extent of my involvement.
I know. It's nice, isn't it? And then somebody asked in the group, in the private group, Facebook group, how often do you go visit your group homes? And I mean, I was honest. I said, well, my group home in South Carolina, since I opened it, I've been twice, you know? And somebody else was like, well, if you really cared about your clients, then you would go more than that. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not true at all. This is a business. And I love my clients and my community. And that's why I have a group home. And that's why I have systems in place. I don't have to go to that group home. Yeah.
And another response to that also would be, well, I actually love my community so much that my job is making sure that people that don't have housing have housing. And
exactly.
So what I'm trying to do is get as many of these things up and going as I can so that I can help out as many people as I can help out. And if I only focus on the 5 or 10 clients that I have, I won't grow and I won't be able to help out all the other thousands of people that need help.
That need housing. Absolutely.
100%. If Tasha wanted to create another job for herself and care for the patients herself, she would be limited to one property and she would be living there 24/7. But using our system, she can outsource that and scale and provide housing for hundreds,
maybe
thousands.
even thousands.
Yeah, it's like I said, you scale it really to as big as you want to grow it.
Absolutely.
My response to people like that are, hey, that's great. You know, we have many members that do want to help out the community. They do want to scale it. They do want to make a lot of money while doing that. But we show people how to typically get a guaranteed check from the government. But there's many people out there that are homeless that don't get funds from the government and either don't want to pay, or maybe they want to keep their Social Security to themselves. So you reach out to me, let me know what your address is, and we are happy to send referrals to you. And we will buy the furniture. So reach out to me anytime. I've never had anybody take me up on that, believe it or not. But
yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, this is a way to, it's a win-win. You know, Tasha was already helping people out through her nursing career, caring for people. This is a way to do it for just much more people and be rewarded, you know, financially for it.
Absolutely.
So that's not your goal. You know, you don't need to listen. But like I said, reach out to me. We'll buy the furniture. All you need is like space in your home, and you can help out for free. Many people need it. So let me know. So you're looking at 3 homes open. Let's get into some details. I have a couple questions that just a lot of people probably out there are wondering. So how do you have it set up to where, you know, you don't have to be working at the home 24/7?
So I have a house manager there, and then I don't pay the house manager. The house manager lives there, and I reduce her rent.
Perfect. So, and really the revenue that these things bring in will give you a lot of freedom as a business. So with a rental property, you can't just find somebody to go do the work for you because you have no income coming in. You can't discount anything. So you have your eyes and ears on the property. If anybody, I mean, do you even have anybody that does need a nurse on hand or any type of licensed care?
I do, and I outsource that to they came in with their own case managers. All of them have their own case managers, and most of them already had their nursing and all that set up. And so it's just outsourced. Like, I don't provide nurse, even though I'm a nurse, I don't provide nursing in my group homes because I'm not interested in going through all the licensure and all that jazz. I mean, that would slow me down right now. I have flirted with that idea, but just not right now. It'll slow me down. So yeah, my goal is to house these homeless people as quickly as I can.
So those were some key points that people, if they didn't catch that, they need to rewind, you know, hit the little 15-second rewind thing and listen to that again. So Tasha did not go through the licensing process. She is a nurse, but she doesn't work at the property. She doesn't have any employees that are nurses. And it sounds like everything was already set up, like through your marketing, you know, you're reaching out to organizations that are working with people that are already, you know, this is like their last step. They already have their case managers, their nurses, their assistants, financial assistants. They just need a place to stay. So her company is not providing the case management, not providing the nurses or anything like that, just simply providing housing.
That's it.
And you can apply that concept to any population, any segment of the population. If it's a community you want to serve that need highly specialized care, you can outsource that. If it's a, you know, aged out foster kids, for example, like, do they have any services like job placements or case managers or anything like that?
Yes, they do. They do have case managers, but I partner with another nonprofit organization that does the job training and like independent living training, that kind of stuff.
Cool. So you didn't spend months to research how to do that and start another company, right?
No. I move a little too fast for that. That will slow me down.
Yes. So I'm asking questions that you already know, but it's just really to reiterate to people. And same thing with Andy, right? Andy, you don't employ any nurses or any medical staff, right?
Outsource everything. That's the model.
Yeah. And all the income we're talking about, you know, just pretty much 10xing any rental property is just from providing the housing. So
right.
Technically, you know, there's other income and streams of income to be made, but it's really kind of up to you if you want to go through that process.
Right.
And that's one of those things that most, like, it's kind of the first thing that you need to wrap your head around, because like that landlord that we were talking about that was just getting the runaround from the city. If you look this up, or if you reach out to someone at the city, they are going to send you down the rabbit hole of becoming a licensed facility.
Listen, I was sent down the rabbit hole just yesterday. I was checking on a particular program. I needed to find out if sprinklers were required, right? So I called the city and they transferred me about 3 times. And then they finally, the last transfer was to a voicemail that was full. And it was just one question I needed answered, just one. And it was for a particular program. It was something not related to, what I'm doing right here. But yeah, I was amazed. So could you imagine how many people call trying to get information about getting licensed or something with the city or the state or whatever? Can you imagine what they go through?
Yeah, I hear it. Like, we have a lot of people come to us after like almost getting through that process, and they've spent a year or two and like thousands of dollars, and then that's kind of like, that's usually the last straw. They'll find out on like one of the inspections, like, oh, everything looks great, but you need a sprinkler system.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's about $20,000 to $30,000.
Yeah, all right, exactly. Let me get that real quick.
You can buy another property for that, by the way.
Exactly.
At the tax sale.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, we always tell people, we're like, look, just get your group. If you want to go down that road, that's fine. How much money do you have right now? Well, I don't really have that much money. All right. Well, if you really want to go down that road, set up a group home, follow the process that we outline, and then use the money that you're generating from your group home to go pay an attorney $20,000 or $30,000
and do it.
To set it up for you. But right now you're going to be broke for the next 4 or 5 years if you try to go that other route. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then even if you do get through that process, you're still back to square one of like looking to find the tenants, and you still have to know that all those aspects of the business anyways. So why not just start?
Yeah. Yes. Just do it. I don't know. This model works for me. It works for me, and I love it.
Yeah. You realized it quick, and obviously ran with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The opposite of analysis paralysis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's too much. It's too many people out here that need help, and there's too much money out here that can be made.
Let's get into that a little bit. So it sounds like you're following our model for the most part, which is affordable housing. It's typically people who don't qualify for traditional, they can't get a traditional apartment or studio. They probably don't have great rental history or good history of managing money. So how are you getting paid?
Well, they're all, they all receive assistance, whether it's, SSI, SSDI, they receive assistance. So that's how I get paid, from their check monthly. So they assign me as a payee, or they have a payee already. They come in with a payee. Either way, it's fine with me. And to be honest with you, these nonprofits out here are really stepping up. I mean, I don't know if it's because they've gotten a lot of funding due to COVID, but I mean, they are stepping up with deposits and rent, assistance. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Now is the time. If you want to start a group home, start it now while all this funding is out here. They have to spend this money.
They've got more money than God. I had one lady 2 days ago get an email from her caseworker. Her caseworker copied me in. They are paying September, October, November, and December rent.
Yep.
We're 4 months. I'm going to actually copy the email and send it out, just screenshot it and send it out to everybody.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there that actually don't believe that. They're like, I don't know if that's real. It's absolutely real. It's absolutely real.
Yeah, it is. And I had a lady from United Way. I've been working with her since I started the first one in South Carolina. She reached out to me last week, and she was like, I have, a lady who needs a place to stay. And it's like, funding is no problem. I'm like, okay. She's like, how much is deposit? How much is, what's the first month's rent? They have to spend this money, because if they don't spend it, they lose it.
And not only that, but they don't get it next year.
And they will not get it next year. Nope. They have to spend it. Yeah.
So
millions.
This is another kind of thing that it's just trying to get across to people is, in the beginning, yes, you are calling, you're emailing, we call it networking and marketing, sales, whatever you want to call it. But when you got in touch with the people that do need to house people, how were those calls like for you? Like, did you really need to have like some super special
No,
sales
no,
script? Did they ask you a
no.
ton of like questions that were you scared? What were
And
those
listen,
conversations like?
Here's the thing, Brandon. When they hear beds available, that's all they need to hear. the group home sells itself. When they hear beds available, my issue is, honestly, the issue that I'm having is like, I'm having to say, oh yeah, no, that person does not meet the criteria, because obviously, I have a niche, with this particular group home. So, a lot of people, I mean, I've been turning away a lot of referrals because they just don't meet the criteria for this particular group home. But when you call them or send an email and it says beds available, that's all they need to hear. That's music to their ears.
Yeah, it's like they almost sell you on their services, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So I'm just trying to get people out there to kind of realize like the mechanics of the whole thing. So these nonprofits that we're talking about, they get, there's literally just billions in funding out there. So the Continuum of Care program that Tasha mentioned, that's just one program. And you
That's
can,
just one.
look it up. They get over $2 billion, just one program.
Yeah.
And Andy's like texting and emailing me. He's always finding like news headlines of like a couple million here, a couple billion here. There's,
yeah.
Probably if you were to aggregate it, it's probably like trillions in just homeless housing and services out there available.
Right. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
The caseworkers that we teach you how to locate and to market to, their job is to spend that money. They need to spend it. If they don't spend what's allocated and actually house people, then they're out of business. They're out of a job. So they're looking for people like you, and it's in short supply.
Yep, absolutely.
So we all, Andy, me, you, we kind of got into this through real estate first. So I was big on like real estate podcasts and meetup groups and forums and networking events and things like that. I never heard of this. Like, did you know anybody? Did you hear of anybody doing group homes or landlords that were pumped about this?
Absolutely not. And it's funny because when I started the Nurse REI Club, I started teaching, what I knew, which was, wholesale, buy and hold, fix and flip, and blah, 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 And then when I started with my group home business, it seems like there's like 900 nurses in that group. It seems like it's shifting. People are like, no, I don't want to buy and hold and cash flow $200 a month.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because they're not even like listening to those other podcasts, and it doesn't interest them like that anymore. So I found that to be interesting.
Yeah, you really have like the perfect following for this niche, because it really, anybody who's a nurse, they just have the personality to like want to care for people, right?
Right.
Like, it's good money, but I mean, if it was just about money, no one would do that job, right?
No.
And this is a way to do that, but like we mentioned, the financial possibilities are just through the roof. It's like whatever you want. So yeah, and there are, just kind of like what we mentioned, there's most landlords, real estate people, they're not doing a rental property because they want to. They're not getting butterflies about housing people, right? they're doing it for money. That's it. That's pretty much the only reason they get into real estate investing. And there's just all these misconceptions. Like, it doesn't really make sense when you first hear it. Like, you're going to make way more money by providing affordable housing. And instead of one person, you're going to have 10 people in there. And it doesn't sound passive. Like, they think you have to you have to become licensed. You have to have like special zoning. You have to have like all this medical equipment and a big staff of nurses. So kind of all those misconceptions, landlords hear that immediately in their head. So they're I don't know many landlords and investors that would even kind of listen to it. So it just kind of, this is to show like there's huge demand, and this is why there's such a lack of supply. And these caseworkers have those same issues, right? Like they're looking for housing, landlords don't want to work with them. So if they get an email or a call from somebody like Tasha, it's a breath of fresh air for them. Yeah, so you have your first couple homes, well, you have your first 2 homes set up, third is in the making. What does the future look like? How big do you want to take this thing, and what are some long-term goals for you, Tasha?
I do want to have 6 group homes within a year. So March will be 1 year. So I think I'm pacing to be there, to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 6 in the year, and then we'll just go from there. I'm having fun right now.
And you had mentioned like the nurses club. We'll include the description and any contact info you want on
Okay.
in like our little write-up. But where can people find more information about that?
Actually, it's on Facebook. That's probably the quickest and the easiest way. The Nurse REI Club. Just look that up, and we're there. So happy to have you. And then Instagram at the Nurse REI Club as well. And you can DM me there. So you can reach me at info@thenursereiclub.com via email as well.
All right, guys, I didn't even realize how long we were going with Tasha, but it's just such a cool story, and it's so cool to hear from people that take our info and run with it. So folks, if you are interested in starting a group home, we kind of covered really all, like a lot of the common questions, right? Like you don't need a lot of money. You don't need a license. You don't need a big staff or anything like that. Guys, you really can get started. So if you're not on our mailing list, definitely sign up for that. It's free. We have a ton of free training material. And if you are looking to streamline things, we have our gold course, which is super affordable. So like compared to other like real estate like courses and material online, we keep it very affordable. I'm sure Tasha can attest to that. We also have coaching, and we do website design too. So I know you have our website. Are you getting income and leads from that, or is it helping with your marketing at least?
I need to update my website. We need to get out and get together offline.
Yeah,
I want to put my group home on there. But yeah, so I do actually. I get some leads from that as well. Yep.
So it's the same website we use. So we offer that to folks out there. Like you don't have to come up with the copy or the design. We do all that for you. So if we can help you out in any way, reach out to us. Look for Tasha if you want to reach out to her. I know after that last one, it's always in the comments. Tasha, you're so inspiring. How can I reach out to you?
Oh, yeah.
So definitely look up her club.